Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us from. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today is this session forms part of our career development series session, which is being hosted at American Corner Agbova. My name is Estella Hildanaman, and I'm the coordinator for American Corner Agbova, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. So today's discussion is about the skill of clear communication, which is how to speak with clarity, confidence, and influence. And so we know that communication is one of the most valuable skills we can develop, whether you are speaking in a classroom, attending a job interview, leading a team, networking, or presenting ideas. And confidently, it can open doors for you that you can't even imagine. And so thank you so much for joining us once again. And I would love for you to just share with us in the chat box where you're joining us from, your expectations as well. And now to our facilitator. She is in the person of Agnes Sewa Inchi. She is a communication enthusiast and the founder of the ACE Tribe, a platform dedicated to helping young people build confidence and strengthen their communication skills. So with experience in engineering, marketing, startup leadership, and public speaking, she's passionate about empowering students and young professionals to communicate with clarity, confidence, and purpose. So please join me in warmly welcoming Agnes Sewa Entry. Over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen and we can start. All right, so I'm excited to have you all here today. And as we dive into clear communication, how to speak with clarity, confidence, and influence. So my name is Agnes, like Estella mentioned, and I'm excited about communication. I love speaking. And that's interesting coming from someone who did not even like the sound of her voice. But now I love the sound of my voice. And that all came through practice. So now I want you to go into the chat and type yes if any of these questions resonate with you. Have you ever had a great idea, but you struggle in explaining it to people? You explain, and people still do not get what you're trying to say. If this is you, I want you to type yes in the chat. And the nerves, how many of us feel nervous when we are to speak in front of people? If this is you, I want you to also go into the chat and type yes. Okay. Then the last one, have you ever spoken or said anything? It could be in a presentation, it could be in an interaction with an individual, it could be in the classroom, anywhere, and then you thought, no, that didn't come out right, or that's not what I meant to say. If this has been you, if you've experienced any of these, type yes in the chat. Then the key thing you need to know is you are not alone. If you have experienced any of these things, you are not alone. There are a million, thousands of people out there who struggle with the same thing you're struggling with. But there's a solution for this. So in 2017, Nana Banamwa said something that totally shifted my mindset when it comes to speaking and communication. So she was speaking at an event I attended, and she said, every time she's called up to speak or the cameras go on, she still has butterflies in her tummy. That came as a shock to me because if we all know Nana, she's a queen of English and she has years of experience. So what exactly is she nervous about? So that gave me the understanding that the nerves, it's a natural thing. But the goal here is to learn how to make use of that. It's an energy. How do you harness that energy? How do you channel it so that you don't come off as timid, you don't come off as nervous, so that you don't come with a shaky voice and all of that. So that idea she shared, that thought she shared, it shifted my perspective. Before that, I was that one person who would never lift up their hand, even if they knew the answer in class. But going to the university with this thought in mind, I decided to change that. I thought to myself,
Sorry,
this is
Agnes, we lost you there. Can you just, yeah.
hello.
Hi, Agnes. So yeah, you can continue. I think you were telling us the story of how it all began with Nana Abanamo.
Yeah. Yeah, so getting to the university, it was a whole new environment. I thought to myself, nobody knows me as a shy, timid girl in the class. So I'm going to change that narrative. And I learned one key thing around that time. If a question was asked, I would count to 3. And no matter how I felt, whether I was sweating, I was shaking, once I count up to 3, I'd shoot my hand up and then answer the question. What that did for me was it gave me the confidence with time. As I was practicing, I learned how to control the nerves. Hello?
Called to present in front of a group of people, what has been the experience, and what do you care? Do you want to share something of that? Yeah, okay. Hi, Agnes.
Yeah, I missed.
I think your line is breaking a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, please, you can continue.
Okay. Yeah, so I decided if there's ever going to be a presentation, I would volunteer to present no matter how I felt. So that continued for a while. And in my 3rd year, I was on my way to my hostel and I had one person from one of the organizations. I had tried to join that particular organization a couple of years back, but I was told I couldn't join because they were more entrepreneur focused and I was more on the charity volunteering side of things. So that's how I did not get into that organization, but I really wanted to get in. So this person approached me and mentioned that they have an annual pitch competition coming up. And the previous year when they went, it didn't go so well, but this time they want to go all out. They want to give it their very best. So he invited me to join them and then present their idea at the national competition. And that was how I made my way into that organization I had been longing to get into. Why did he approach me? He saw me in the classroom, pitching, speaking, always being the person to be called upon when there was a presentation to be made. And I had honed that skill. Mind you, the nerves did not go away. The nerves were still there, but I still showed up anyway. And through that, I was also able to start working with the radio station at my university. This was a community-based radio station. And working at the radio station was a beautiful experience. Over there, I also got to assist the general manager as his personal assistant. I was going with him for meetings and all of that. Why? It was just because I could clearly translate whatever was being said in the meeting for him to understand at the end of the day. I could write it down clearly. So that single skill of communication opened the door for me to be able to join this particular. So yes, I went to school to study engineering, but I was doing radio at the same time. And then assistant the general manager. And I got the opportunity to pitch on a national stage for this organization I had been dying to join for so long. And through that, I've been helping other people to also overcome their fear of public speaking. So mind you, opportunities will come, but it's only how well you're able to communicate your skill that will also allow people to give you that opportunity that is available. There are opportunities, but people, first of all, test your competence just by what they hear you say. They get to decide that, okay, this person thinks along this direction just based on what you say. And they can decide from a single conversation whether they are going to trust you or not. Take job interviews, for example. You might have decades and decades of experience, but once you sit in that interview chair, the single thing that is going to get you through the door is how well you're able to sell yourself. Yes, they have your CV, they might have seen projects you've worked on and all of that. But if you're not able to communicate to them clearly, you are not able to tell them, oh, this project, I was able to move it from 0 to 10% in the next days. You're not able to clearly communicate how you achieve that to them in the interview. You're not getting the job, trust me. No matter how many years of experience you have, you need to show up, speak, and sell yourself properly. So the skill of communication, no matter the space you are in, is non-negotiable. It's something you need to develop. So I like to classify communication under 3 key pillars. What makes a great communication? Influence is the first thing to keep in mind. But that is the end goal. Whenever you are saying something, take the case of the job interview. You are looking for a specific result. You are looking at how you can influence these people, whether they are hiring managers or the board of directors or whoever is on that panel. You're looking at how you can influence them to give you the job. So that's the end goal, to influence actions, to influence decisions from people. But to be able to get there, you need to be clear. Clarity is essential. Be clear on what you're saying. Because if you speak and nobody understands you, you haven't communicated. I'm sure you've heard someone speak. They've said so many things, go on and on and on. But at the end of the day, you're thinking, what did this person really say? Because I honestly did not get it. That means they lacked clarity in whatever delivery that they get. So clarity is very essential. Ask yourself, do people understand when I speak? Will people be able to understand this idea I'm going to communicate? If they are going to understand, then you're good to go. The next thing is confidence. Confidence is that single thing that is going to cause people to believe in you. It's that thing that is going to allow people to give you the opportunity. That is what is going to cause people to even sit and listen to that idea you're passing across. And finally, once they understand your message, they believe they can trust you, then they will consider taking that action that you want them to take. And that's where influence comes in. So when it comes to clarity, clarity is breaking your message down to the simplest. Remember, when you're speaking, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about the other person. It's about the audience. What are their needs? What do they need to hear at this point in time? What do you want them to understand? So you need to make the message easy to understand. That is not the time to throw in all the vocabulary that you have learned. No, that is not the time to use all the technical jargons that you know. You need to have a structure when communicating with any group of people, whether it's on a one-on-one level, in a meeting, or you're in front of an audience. You need to have a structure. You need to have a structure. Okay, what am I saying to these people? What is the action I want them to take at the end of this presentation or speech? Once you have that out of the way, then you can decide, since I want them to take this action, I think I can share this story from this incident, let them know and understand. So you have everything well laid out from your introduction through to the call to action. And you, in your structure, you need to include a story. Whatever you do, in whatever situation, always tell a story. It doesn't have to be an elaborate story, a long-winded story, but something. Tell them about a weakness. If you're presenting something that has to do with people having a challenge, yes, in your story, include that low moment, show them what exactly happened, and then the climax. How did you resolve that? How did you come out of it? That also gives you credibility and makes them know that they can actually listen to you. Then, using too many words. You don't have to say too much. You don't have to say too much to get your message across. And leaving gaps in whatever story you are telling or whatever thing you're communicating to your audience. You don't have to assume, don't ever assume that people understand what you're saying. Don't assume. So if you're talking to a technical audience and you are presenting on a technical matter, you can throw in a few jargons, not too much though. But if you're speaking to a different type of audience, you don't need to use all the big words and technical. Remember, you're not there to impress the people. You are there to speak to a need that they have. You are there to inspire an action in them. So it's about the people. It's not about the technical words you have learned over the years. No. So say, for example, you're speaking to something in technology and you're using algorithm, you're using Kubernetes, you're using so many big words, and people are just there confused, wondering what is this person saying? Break it down. Break it down. Remember, when you communicate and people do not understand, you haven't communicated anything. And don't jump in between ideas. That is why you need a structure. Go systematically so that people can follow through. Take them on a journey. Remember, it's a journey. You're taking them on a journey to inspire an action in the end. That is where influence comes in. So don't jump in between ideas. Take them on a journey. Don't rush. Take your sweet time and carry them along. So when it comes to clarity, there's a framework that I love so much, the simple framework. So this is something you can keep in mind when it comes to speaking, right? First of all, you state your point. What is the main thing you want to tell your audience? What is the main thing you want to tell the person you are talking to? Then illustrate with an example, because an example that forms the story in this instance. And that example is going to be more memorable. Remember, people do not remember every single word that you're going to tell them. But once there's a story, why we tell stories is it brings us the emotion. And once people feel a certain type of way, they are able to remember the emotion they felt. They are able to remember what they felt in the moment more than the exact words that were spoken. I don't know if you've ever had a misunderstanding with someone, and at the end of the day, when you're trying to resolve whatever the issue is, you can go on and get to the point where you realize, I don't even remember exactly what this person said, but all I know is this is how I felt in the moment. So, yes, the words may be forgotten, but the emotion will be remembered. So, that example, that story needs to be present and then make it relevant. What is relevant to one audience will not be relevant to the other. So, relevance is subjective. So, understand the audience you're speaking to and make whatever example you're given relevant to them, and present that in a very clear manner. Take your time, don't rush, don't fumble, don't throw in filler words here and there. And then connect it to your audience. Link whatever you're saying to your audience. And finally, end with an action. The call to action. This is where you inspire the people to take an action. That is influence right there. So take an example. Instead of, let's say you are in a meeting, you are discussing how to improve your whole website, your online presence, and you put your hand up and just say, I think we should improve our social media. That is very vague. I'm sure nobody is even going to listen to you. Now look at the other side. If you put your hand up and then you are given the opportunity and you say something like, our engagement has dropped by 20%. Just with this statement, everybody will lean in. They want to hear you say more. They're okay, well, okay, that's interesting. Why are you taking us to? Then you continue by telling them, this is my recommendation. This is why I'm recommending this. Because they need to know, why is it relevant to us? Then the final thing, the results, what is this going to bring in? So that is the simple framework. State your point, illustrate with an example, make it relevant, present it clearly, link it to your audience, and then end with an action. Never forget, always end with an action. Yes, so right now I want you to go into the chat. Go into the chat right now. We're doing an activity. There's a statement right here. I know some of us have sat in meetings where we've had people use all the technical jargon, use all the big words, and then we are wondering, what did they say exactly? And I have a similar example here. We need to leverage synergies to optimize our digital ecosystem. What is this person actually trying to say? We need help with this. So in case you have any idea on what this person is trying to say and you can break it down for us, type that in the chat. What do you think this person is trying to communicate? If you have any idea, do type that in the chat for us. Anyone? Anyone has an idea?
Okay. I'm looking in the chat right now. Maybe I would put some people in a hot seat, or if they prefer that. But yeah, we need to leverage synergies to optimize our digital ecosystem. Please, can anyone break it down for us in the chat? Or you can just raise up your hand, and if you want to communicate it, I mean, verbally, we can also do
Yeah,
that.
that will actually be good. Let's start
Yeah.
practicing now.
Anyone? Okay, so maybe I would try first.
Okay.
I'm trying to. Also, okay, the question is, what does this actually mean, right?
Yes.
Okay, so from what I'm seeing, from my point of view, it shows
Okay.
me that um, the person wants is looking for partnerships, like partnerships, people that have same common objectives, so that they can really expand their digital outreach or whatever they are doing. I mean, that's just my two-face, but I don't know if that is the right answer.
Okay. Exactly the point. So you see how difficult it is to explain what this person is saying. But I'm sure we've sat in meetings where we've had people say similar things using so many big words. But at the end of the day, you are wondering, what is this person saying? So this, like Estella said, Estella, you're right, because this is not just confusing, it's also ambiguous. It's also very ambiguous. So I will translate this as the person is maybe in the tech space. So the person is maybe talking about their online presence. So this is how I will interpret this. We need our websites and social media platforms to work together better. So it could be that they are talking about their platforms, or they are talking about people, like you mentioned. That's what happens when you are not communicating clearly. You confuse people. People get confused, and you don't want to do that. That's the last thing you want to do in any situation at all. We are looking at inspiring action in people, not confusing them. So don't use all the big words, that's not the aim. You're not there to confuse people. Then the second pillar, which is confidence. Confidence. If you remember the story I shared earlier, Nana Bakabwa said she still has butterflies in her tummy whenever the camera goes on or she's called on to speak. That's a shock, right? Because she has the experience. Her English is impeccable. She has the confidence. But the truth is, confidence is not the absence of fear, right? You don't need to feel confident before you speak. You don't need to feel confident before you move. Whether you're shaken, speak up. It's only through that practice that you're going to overcome that fear that you have. And the truth is, there are so many people. So if it's in a classroom, if it's at work, wherever it is, the way you are feeling, there are so many other people feeling the same way. There are so many other people feeling the same way. But once you are able to overcome that fear of judgment, that fear of making mistakes and all of that, and speak up, you realize that people perceive you as a confident person. Even if you make a mistake or two, it's fine. You get better with practice. Okay, so even experienced speakers still have the fear. But what makes a key difference in showing up and looking confident is practicing and preparation. Preparation kills anxiety. If you are well prepared, it takes a lot of that fear away. That is how come you realize that as you go and improve when it comes to the area of speaking, you can get to the point where you're good with planned presentations, structured presentations, and all of that. But when it comes to speaking on the spot, improvising, there might be that struggle. That is because you haven't practiced. But even that, you can practice ahead of time. Put yourself in those uncomfortable situations yourself and practice how you would answer questions, how you would speak in those instances. Some of the reasons, the fear that does not allow us to show up and look confident like we need to so that we can inspire action. It's because we are afraid that people will judge us. We are afraid that people are going to look at us and say, she's shaking. She didn't say that right. Why did she even say that? So many thoughts running through our minds. We are afraid that we will be judged. It can also be that we are afraid of forgetting our lines, forgetting what we meant to say, making mistakes. And the key thing, a lack of preparation. Most times when you are nervous, it's an indication that you did not prepare enough. You did not prepare enough. So prepare, practice, practice, practice. You cannot over practice. There's nothing like that. When you practice so much, it takes away a lot of that nerves. And the truth is, when it comes to the fear of judgment, most people are not there to mark you. Most people are not there waiting for you to fail. No, they are not there to do that. They actually want you to succeed. Because think of it, why would anybody come to sit down to listen to you? And there might be some extreme cases. Those cases are different, but on a normal day, nobody is going to show up to hear you say something with the intention of, okay, I'm going to see how this person feels. I'm going to see how this person makes sense of mistakes. No. And there are three things, there are three key things that help you build confidence. Preparing, right? Prepare adequately. Understand whatever you are going to tell the people. Understand what you are presenting on, not just on an idea level. Don't just know the ideas in there, but then understand the key concepts. Understand it such that if there is a technical glitch, you can still go on and say something in the case where you are using a slide. Understand it so much that so you are not just memorizing your script. You need to understand it so that what happens if you forget an entire paragraph? Are you just going to freeze and look at people? No. So you need to understand the concepts in there. That is very important. And then practice. Practice. Don't just memorize. Rehearse the ideas. Rehearse it. Understand it at a conceptual level. Like know the concepts. Understand what you are talking about. So that when a question is thrown at you, you can answer. Understand the concept so that if something goes off, you can still explain that idea without losing your audience. And this is something I really love. Pause. The third thing is to pause. Pause. Slow down. I don't know if you've taken note of how some of the very successful speakers and world leaders are. You can be in a meeting or wherever it is, while everyone is rushing to speak. They are just quiet, listening in, observing. And when they decide to speak, you realize everybody goes silent. Like everybody is eager to hear what they have to say. You get it? That silence creates a form of mystery. It builds anticipation, and it makes you look more confident. If you're very relaxed, people easily perceive you as a confident person than when you're rushing through your words, fidgeting, fumbling, throwing in filler words here and there. That easily make people write you off as someone who is not confident, someone who is unsure of what they are saying, or someone who is confused. And once people pick up these things of you, you've lost them. They are not going to listen to you. Now let's look at examples, these two examples, and you get to decide which of these people, if you are listening to these people, who would you say is confident, and why are you going to say that this person is confident? So let's say we are in the boardroom. So imagine yourself sitting there and the discussion is going on and on and on, and person A speaks up and says, so I, I think maybe we could possibly consider, at this point, they've lost you. You are not even looking forward to whatever they have to say next because they sound so uncertain. They don't seem to know what they are talking about. How about this next person who takes their time once they are given the opportunity to speak? They don't just jump in, start fumbling. They give themselves a second or two, put their thoughts together, and say something like, I recommend this approach because it reduces cost and improves efficiency. Straight away, you are going to listen to the second person. You want to, okay, and then it comes with questions. Okay, so how do we do this? You're excited to hear more of what this person has to say because just because they sound confident. The first person might have a brilliant idea, even the best for the company, but you will not be willing to hear it because they already lost you once they started fumbling at the beginning. Then the final pillar, which is influence. Remember, the end of every communication is to influence an action. You are looking at inspiring people to take an action. So this is very key. This is what we have in mind from the very beginning. But then we have to ensure that our message is clear and we are showing up confident, looking confident and then sounding confident as well, so that we can inspire the action in the people. We can get them to care about what we care about. Because if you're going to speak about something you are very passionate about to people, let's say you developed a new technology that is going to help with this whole flood situation in Ghana because you have experienced flooding firsthand. It means that it's something dear to you. But the key thing is, how do I get these other people to care about what I care about so that they can take action with me? People are not going to remember every single thing. In presenting this particular idea, you might share some technical things, how you develop the system and all of that. Nobody cares about it. Most of the time, nobody cares about it. They're just looking at, okay, how is this going to help us solve this whole situation we are in? So tell a story, get their emotions. You get it? Get to the emotions of the people. So share your story. It doesn't have to. So it can be a happy story. It can be a sad story. Whatever the story is, once it relates to whatever you are presenting. So you've experienced flooding yourself. Tell us, how was the experience? Craft that story beautifully and tell it to the people. That will evoke emotions in them and they will remember it. And it will make you look human to them. You'll know that, oh, I know someone, this person has actually experienced what I have experienced. They'll be able to relate with you. They'll feel that connection. And that is going to give them an experience to take away with, something to remember. Oh, this person who developed, they might not even remember the name of the technology or device you've come up with. but they can refer to the story you shared. Oh, the person who stays here and experienced the flooding, that thing they developed. Yes, I need to get one of those devices. They might not even remember the name of it, but how they felt, that is something they will never forget. So have your facts right, yes, but frame it in a story because it's a story that is going to sell. Yes, so when it comes to influence, you can keep these four things in mind as a formula to use when you're trying to inspire action in people. State your point clearly and then tell a story. At this point, I'm sure you are realizing the essence of telling a story when it comes to speaking and communicating. Share a relevant story. It's non-negotiable, even if you're sharing something that is very technical, you have your facts, your data sheets, everything on there. Share a story, something you've seen, something you've read. It doesn't need to be a personal story all the time, but something that people can hold on to, something their minds can engage with. Because if you're just presenting data, you are going to lose your audience. If you are presenting data going on and on, most people will tune out. I'm sure most of us never listen to most of the speeches I that were given at our graduation, matriculation, all those academic stuff, because it goes on, sharing technical things. Even when you try to follow at a point, you'll be lost because there is really nothing for your mind to hold on to. So a relevant story helps anchor your message and gives the people something to hold on to in their mind. It keeps them wanting more. They keep asking, okay, so what happened? What next? Where is he taking me to? What's going to happen next? What's he trying to say? That keeps the audience alive and they follow you also. And another thing, always leave the people with a key takeaway. A key takeaway. And you can frame that as if you don't remember anything, that key takeaway can be at the beginning. That can even be in your opening. You can let them know that even if you don't take anything away from this conversation or from this presentation, I want you to remember A, B, C, D. And at the end, once you've taken on them on the journey, you will show how these key takeaways come to play. And at the end, share that with them as well so that they have something they are going to act on. And yes, you share the lessons, what to take away, and all of that, but you still need to mention what they need to do. Always do that. And that is going to push the people to actually take an action. Don't assume that once people have listened to you, they are going straight ahead to start implementing what you say. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, we are in the age of AI. AI. We see it all around. But one thing you need to have in mind is communication, especially in this age, is becoming more and more valuable. Because there's one thing that AI cannot do, it cannot replace a human connection. I don't know how many of us are active on LinkedIn, but for some time now, when I see posts, that's a post when you just see it, you know that, okay, this is clearly AI. And I don't know how many of us spend time reading that particular post. You just skip. But when you come across a post that feels human, something you can connect with, you stop and then you read. I remember I saw a post some months back and the person started. It was very impeccable storytelling at play. So this person started by saying, my mother said I should get married. I need your help. So then you stop. You want to know, okay, why is this person sharing this even here? And the person goes on to tell us about something entirely different. And you are able to stay through the entire story. So he was able to catch the attention of the audience, have them to stay. And the stories he shared in that post were very meaningful and were able to inspire a certain action in the audience. So communication is becoming more relevant because once you understand the key pillars of communication, that means you can properly make use of these AI tools that are at your disposal because they are supposed to aid us in moving faster, aid us in telling better stories without losing the human connection. So understanding what communication is, how to communicate with your audience and do it well will even help you to be able to make good use of AI. So communication, especially in this day and age, is very important because that's what separates someone who was just prompted a chatbot and gotten concepts from there to someone who has actually taken the time to understand the key concepts they have gotten from that chatbot. That is what is going to set you apart. Yes. So we've had so much. We've had so much within this time frame. And I want to do because highlights two main things. The first one being to practice, right? Practice. So when it comes to speaking, you need to practice to get better at it. And in practicing, make use of your phone. Yes, your phone recorder and your phone camera. Make use of it. I know most of us cringe when we hear ourselves or when we watch ourselves. It's normal, but you need to overcome that because as much as you can get feedback from people around you, and that's one thing, seek feedback from people. Ask someone, how do I sound? One of the very first times I became aware of how I speak, it was a friend. It wasn't from a good place, though, but it taught me something. That's in senior high school. You speak too slow, you drag your words and all of that. So I was like, okay. So I started speaking very fast, very fast. It felt almost as though I wasn't thinking before speaking. Until one day I was answering a question in class and my environment told me, why are you rushing through your words? Like, you're speaking too fast. What is happening? Then I learned I needed to find the sweet balance between speaking too slow and speaking too fast. And one of the things I really did was to record myself. That's how come at the beginning I'll say I love my voice. I love to hear myself. I do not cringe when I listen to myself now, but in the beginning it was very hard. So you need to overcome that phase. Listen to yourself because you might think you sound a certain way, but when you listen to yourself, you realize you actually sound very different, or whatever you wanted to say did not come out how you intended it. So record yourself on video and audio. So you can start with audio since video can be very difficult for a lot of people. So that is practice and listening attentively. Listening attentively, being genuinely interested in what is going on. Be genuinely interested in if it's a conversation you are having with someone, if it's in a meeting you are at, being present, listening to what is being said, not just listening to answer. Because I find most people try to listen to answer. And in that case, what happens is you miss out key details because you are in your head planning what to say at the end, planning what to say once the person finishes saying A, B, C, D, instead of actually listening to them and understanding what they are saying so that you can give a better response. Then think before you speak. If you are called upon to say something, you don't need to rush. Yes, in the moment, it's impromptu. Your heart might be racing. So take a few seconds, a second, 2 or 3. Steady your breathing and then start speaking. That gives you more credibility than when you start speaking immediately you are called. Realize you might start with, okay, you start with something that is very irrelevant. And what that immediately does is, in most cases, it just qualifies you, it takes away from your credibility. Then use language. So starting from today, simplify your language. Yes, you've learned new vocabulary, but know when it is appropriate to use it. Don't just go around throwing big words at people. Simplify your language. Because remember, you're not communicating for yourself. It's more about your audience than about you. So focus on your audience. You're not there to impress anybody. Simplify your English, slow down, make eye contact. It can be uncomfortable, but the people need to feel you're talking to them. So instead of looking down, looking up, fidgeting, be present. It tells anyone you're speaking to that, okay, this person is actually listening to me because what I have to say is important. So key things to note. Clarity helps people to understand you, and confidence helps people to trust you. Then influence helps people to act. And that is the end goal. You're trying to inspire an action in the people, but you need to be clear, show up confident, and then you can get the people to act. Yes. So if you have any questions, Estella is going to take over and then answer those questions.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Agnes. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. I mean, I've learned a lot, practice, 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 and then having a really good listening ear in terms of being a good communicator. So I have some questions, and please let's drop our questions in the chat box so that Agnes can address them. So I think that one key aspect is the networking part of building yourself up or getting opportunities. Now, when you meet a CEO and you have some few seconds to just introduce yourself and tell them what you do. Lots of people I know struggle with that. Like, what do I say within that few seconds? So can you tell us or help us to know what must be the key things you say if you have such a short time frame, but you want to just introduce yourself to someone?
Okay. So in cases like that, that's what we call the elevator pitch. So that is a very brief pitch. That is not where you're going to be technical. That is not where you're going to tell them. You're not going to even start from the problem. So say, for instance, you've met a CEO and you have an idea you want them to really buy into. You don't start telling them about the problem and all of that. You go straight to the point because everybody is looking at what's in it for me. So you go straight forward, tell them what the solution is, and then throw in a few details on why that particular solution matters. And if it's just to connect with this person, In that few seconds, you go forward, you introduce yourself. They might not even really pay attention. If you're approaching this person, you should have done a bit of research. You should know something about them or notice something about them. We all have to feel good. So in that way, and you don't have to overdo this specific thing I'm going to talk about. So once you approach this person, you can throw in a compliment. If they had just spoken, you can pick a key thing that they said that really resonated with you and start that immediately catches their attention. So those are how you can get the attention of these people, because mind you, they don't have the time to listen to you for long. But once you're able to get your foot in the door, then later, once you have their attention, you can dive deep and share all the stories, the problems, and everything you want to tell them. So know this person, know something about them, or notice something about them in the moment that you've met them, and capitalize on that, yes, to be able to get to them.
Okay. Thank you so much for that response. I think I see Raymond. Raymond says you made a very powerful presentation. Thank you, Raymond, for dropping that in the chat. And then I think my last question for you is, practically for somebody who is the silent person in a group. You know that there are some people that when there's a group setting, they suddenly lose their voice. They are just quiet. They may have every great thing there. What is the best way to start? And also when they are having, like it's a journey, as you've mentioned, you started from somewhere and you've gotten somewhere now. Maybe the person communicated their idea and then it didn't come out so good. People made fun of it. People, how can they really move past those moments if you are somebody who is now coming out of your shell?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Sorry. Hi, Agnes. I think we lost Agnes there. Hi, Agnes. Okay, I think that
Hello?
we lost her for a minute. Okay, Agnes, you're
Hello,
back.
can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah, we can hear you now.
So,
Hi, Agnes, we can hear you.
okay, thank you. So if you're a shy person, the one who wants to hide, the one who doesn't want to be seen, feels nervous, or you have tried in times past and it wasn't well received, the question you need to ask yourself is, do you want, do you want to be invisible forever, or do you actually want to be seen? Do you actually want to be heard? If you answer yes to any of these, then you need to know that you have to overcome the fear. And the truth is, the fear is a natural thing. It will never go away no matter the stage you get to. The only thing that changes is learn how to properly manage it. You learn how to make use of those nerves so that it doesn't get the best of you. So, like I mentioned earlier, one thing I did was I changed my mindset first, right? I decided that no matter how I feel, no matter the situation, I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to answer that question. So it has to start with mindset. I don't care if somebody is smarter than me in the room. I don't care if somebody is laughing at me. I don't care if I make a mistake. I'm still going to speak. And a practical thing I did was in the classroom setting, I decided if I know the answer to this, I'm going to count up to 3. And my hand must go up on the count of 3. So that was one thing. So you need to find ways to get yourself out of the comfort zone. Yes, it will be very uncomfortable, but you have to push yourself. So if it's at work in a meeting, find something. I'm going to count up to 3, or I'm going to breathe in, and I'm going to shoot my hand up and answer that question. If it's an opportunity to speak, volunteer to speak and prepare and come and speak. Yes, you'll be nervous. It might not go well. I remember I moderated an event some time back at the school I was working at. And the proprietor called me at the end of it. It wasn't even in the middle and at the end. Like, what are you doing? We can't even hear you. It was very bad. It was that terrible. But that didn't stop me. Instead of focusing on the negative, focus on the positive. Okay, those laughing at you, it could even be that these people are not even showing up themselves. They could be intimidated by you. That can be a reason why they want to mock you and put you down. So think your mindset really needs to change. That's the key. Your mindset has to change. And think about ways you can push yourself out of your comfort zone. Your mindset is the key thing that needs to change. It's the beginning. Yeah, Estella.
Okay, all right, thank you. So you have to push yourself out there and have that mindset that you don't want to be invisible. You need to be out.
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay. All right. So I think, yeah, we have, and then we'll just wrap it up. Yeah, okay. So this is from Talia. He's asking that, or she is asking, anxiety sets in, visibly shaking if I had to stand in front of a crowd and sometimes lose my train of thought. Does practice still help with a situation like this? That's his question, or her question, sorry.
Okay. Yes, practice does help with a situation like this. You need to be
Hi,
prepared.
Agnes, please, did you catch that?
Yes, I did. Can you hear me?
Oh, I think there's a network.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
please. Yeah.
You
Thank
can
you.
hear me. Okay. So yes,
Hi, Agnes.
practice.
Yes, we
You
can hear.
practice
Yeah.
does help a lot because one of the things it does is it takes the pressure of the fear of failing. You mentioned a number of fears that affects our confidence when it comes to speaking, right? But once you have practiced and you know your material extensively, it takes that pressure off you. Then the next thing, in your case, one thing to do is learn about power poses, learn about exercises that can calm you down. Find your most comfortable position, your most comfortable stance. What do you do that makes you feel confident? Do that thing before that speaking engagement. You get it? So you've practiced, you know your words, you know what you're going to say, but you need to boost your confidence. So what is it? If you're a Christian, if it means speaking in tongues, speak in tongues a few minutes. Find a washroom nearby, go there, speak in tongues as loud as you can. If that is what is going to give you the confidence, if it's by moving around, talking to people, if it's doing breathing exercises, do that. So you need to find what makes me feel confident. Is it in a way I sit? Sit that way. Is it by doing a specific activity? Do that activity a few minutes before that speaking engagement. and that will help you a lot. It's going to make you feel very confident. And I remember in the meet and the event I attended, one thing that Mama mentioned was what she uses is telling herself that I'm the most important person in this room. These people are here to listen to me. They have no other option. They are going to listen to me either ways. So it could be words of affirmation in her case. She tells herself she's the most important person at this particular point in time. So when she steps on that stage, that's what gives her the confidence. She knows that nobody knows more than me in this room at this point. I know everything I'm going to share. I know what they don't know, and they must hear me. So fine, if it's words of affirmation, if it's a sitting posture, if it's a standing posture, you need to explore. And that also comes with practice. You need to try out different activities and then find the one that works very well for you. Yeah, Estella. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hi Agnes. So sorry, I had a yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining. Thank you so much, Agnes, for the wonderful presentation. All the key notes that you gave us to help us to communicate better, and then not just communicate, but to the objective of or the goal of influencing people. I've learned a lot, and I know that the participants have also learned a lot. I see it in the chat box that they are saying that it's been a really great presentation. So thank you so much. So this video is also live on Mobile Web Ghana YouTube channel. So if you want to rewatch it again and pick all the notes again, you can just go to Mobile Web Ghana YouTube channel and then join us as well. And then we also have our link, the link to our WhatsApp group in the chat box. So if you want to have updates on all the programs that we have upcoming, you can also click that and join as well. And so thank you all once again for joining. We'll come your way again next week. All right. Have a great day. Bye.